Some losses are clean. A relationship ends. A job disappears. A door closes. These things hurt, but there is a clarity to them. You know what you lost. You know where the wound is. You can begin to heal. And then there are the other kind of losses. The ones where someone does not just take something from you, they systematically dismantle it. Where the destruction is not incidental, but intentional. Where someone looks at what you have built, your business, your reputation, your community, your life's work, and decides with deliberate purpose to tear it down. These are the losses that change people. Not just because of what is taken, but because of what the taking reveals. That someone you trusted or someone you underestimated was capable of that level of calculated destruction. This is a story about that kind of loss, and about what the universe does when it witnesses it. Her name was Priya, and she had spent 7 years building something remarkable. It had started as a small online community, a space for women in her industry to connect, share resources, support each other through the specific challenges of working in a field that was still, in many ways, not designed for them. She had built it from nothing. From a social media account and a genuine desire to create something that had not existed when she had been starting out and had needed it. Over 7 years, it had grown into something significant. Thousands of members, a newsletter with a loyal readership, a podcast that had been downloaded millions of times, a conference that sold out every year, partnerships with companies that wanted to reach her audience, a reputation carefully and genuinely earned as someone who was trustworthy, generous, and genuinely committed to the community she had built. She had also, along the way, hired a team. And one of the people she had hired, a woman named Renata, who had joined the organization 3 years earlier as a senior manager, had become, over time, someone Priya trusted deeply. Renata was capable, organized, strategic in ways that complemented Priya's more visionary, creative approach. She understood the operations of the organization in detail. The finances, the partnerships, the systems, the relationships with sponsors and collaborators. Priya had given her increasing responsibility because she had seemed to earn it. Because trusting her had felt like the right thing to do. It was the most expensive trust Priya ever extended. What Priya did not know, what she would not discover until it was almost too late, was that Renata had been, for the better part of a year, quietly preparing to leave and take as much of the organization with her as she could. She had been building relationships with Priya's key sponsors, positioning herself as the primary point of contact, subtly shifting the relationship so that the sponsors' loyalty was to her rather than to the organization. She had been in conversations with several of Priya's most prominent community members, planting seeds about Priya's leadership, suggesting that the organization had grown beyond Priya's ability to manage it, hinting that something new was coming that they might want to be part of. She had been copying files, downloading databases, taking the operational infrastructure that Priya had built over 7 years and preparing to transplant it into something she was building on the side. When Renata left, she did not leave quietly. She launched her competing organization the same week. She reached out directly to Priya's sponsors with a pitch that used Priya's own data, her own community insights, her own operational playbook. She reached out to community members with messaging that was designed to make them question whether Priya's organization was still the right home for them. The damage was immediate and significant. 3 major sponsors did not renew their partnerships. Several prominent community members announced they were moving to Renata's new platform. The conference that had sold out every year had its worst ticket sales in its history. The newsletter lost a significant percentage of its subscribers in a single month. Priya was devastated. Not just by the practical damage, and though that was severe, but by the specific quality of the betrayal. Because Renata had not just taken something external, she had taken the inside knowledge, the trust, the access that Priya had given her because she had believed in her. She had used the intimacy of the relationship as the mechanism of the destruction. There were days when Priya did not know if the organization would survive. There were days when she questioned whether she had the energy to rebuild. There were days when the weight of what had happened, the loss, the betrayal, the sheer scale of the damage, felt unsurvivable. But she kept going. Not because it was easy, because it was hers. Because she had built it from nothing once, and she understood, at a level that Renata never could, what it was actually made of. Not the databases or the sponsor relationships or the operational systems. Those could be rebuilt. What it was made of was the genuine trust of a community that had been built on real value delivered consistently over years. And that the actual substance of what she had built, Renata could not take. Because she had not built it. She had only observed it. Priya went back to basics. She communicated directly with her community, honestly, vulnerably, without spin. She told them what had happened. Not to attack Renata, but to be transparent about the situation and to reaffirm her commitment to the people who had been part of what she had built. She asked for nothing except the chance to keep showing up for them. The response was extraordinary. Because here is what Renata had fundamentally misunderstood. The community was not loyal to the organization as an entity. They were loyal to Priya, to her values, her voice, her genuine care for the people she served. Those things were not transferable. They could not be downloaded or copied or transplanted. They lived in the relationship between Priya and the people she had served for 7 years. Renata's platform launched with momentum. The sponsors she had poached, the members she had recruited, the infrastructure she had taken. But it launched without the thing that had made Priya's organization worth building in the first place. Authentic leadership. Genuine community. The kind of trust that is earned through years of consistent, values-driven action. Within 18 months, Renata's platform was struggling. The sponsors who had followed her found that the audience engagement was not what they had expected. The community members who had moved over found that the new platform did not deliver what they had hoped. The operational systems Renata had copied worked, but without the creative vision and genuine relationship building that had made them effective in Priya's hands, they were just systems. Meanwhile, Priya had rebuilt. Not to where she had been, further. Because the crisis had forced her to examine everything, to rebuild with more intention, to be more selective about who she trusted with access to what she had built. The organization that emerged from the wreckage was leaner, stronger, and more clearly aligned with her actual values. And the community that had stayed, and the new members who had found their way to her in the aftermath, were there because they had chosen to be. Not because they had been recruited or poached or convinced, because they believed in what Priya was building and wanted to be part of it. If someone has destroyed something you built, if they have taken your work, your community, your business, your life's effort, and tried to dismantle it, there are things worth holding on to. What is real cannot be permanently destroyed. The relationships built on genuine trust, the reputation earned through real work, the community formed around authentic value. These things can be damaged, but they cannot be erased. Because they exist in the hearts and minds of the people who experienced them. And those people remember. The person who destroyed what you built does not have what you have. They may have taken the external elements, the systems, the contacts, the infrastructure, but they cannot take the thing that made it worth building. The vision, the values, the genuine care, the creative intelligence. Those stay with you. And they will build again. And the universe which watched every moment of the destruction, which saw every calculated move, every betrayal, every piece of trust that was weaponized. The universe is already working on the accounting. Not on your timeline, not in the way you might expect, but with absolute certainty. Because what was built with integrity will be restored with interest. And what was built on someone else's destruction will not stand. It never does.